More fallout from President Trump's Charlottesville reaction. Alliance for American Manufacturing president becomes the latest CEO to resign from President Trump's Manufacturing Council over his response to Charlottesville this week. President Trump tweeted this earlier. For every CEO that drops out of the Manufacturing Council, I have many to take their place. Grandstanders should not have gone on. Jobs. Billionaire real estate investor Sam Zell was with me earlier reacting on Mornings with Maria. Listen. What's your take on three CEOs now stepping off of the Manufacturing Council?
I think that it's probably too extreme a move. I think all these committees are ways of rewarding people by allowing them to be part of the president's committee. The president doesn't need these committees.
Right.
The president of the United States can get the opinion of anybody he wants to at any moment, and does.
So is leaving an empty seat at the table the right thing for these CEOs to be doing? To National Review editor we go. Rich Lowry is here. Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk is here. And former Congressman Dennis Kucinich is here. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So what do you think? In terms of this group, this latest American Manufacturing Group, this is a nonprofit, and they say that they support steel workers and manufacturing workers. Charlie.
Yeah, this is stunning to me. I mean, first of all, if there's a president who has at least pledged to fight for those people, it would be President Trump. And I don't really understand what the reason is for him stepping down. I mean, the president came out yesterday and strongly denounced these hate groups. I don't know what else they're asking for here. And if he really had trouble with President Trump, wouldn't the right thing to do would be to stay on the council and say, I'm actually going to try to fight for the ideas I believe in, not just walk away from it? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It's not right for his members either.
You make a really good point, because the truth is these executives are representing, in this case, steel workers, manufacturing workers. And Rich, in the case of the public companies like an Under Armour, like a Merck, you're representing shareholders. Is it good to do that, take your seat off of the table while you actually could have had a voice in terms of policy? Is that good for shareholders?
Well, I agree with your guest on the morning program. I think these councils are for show. I think all this is for show. I don't think it matters one way or the other whether these CEOs are on these councils or not. They're not like parliaments or anything. They're not decision-making bodies. And as your earlier guest said, Trump can call anyone he wants up at any time and get them on the phone. So I think this has obviously become a thing for corporate America now. I wouldn't be surprised if we would see more, and my advice to Trump would be shake it off and don't seem so wounded by it.
So it sounds like you agree that it's a little grandstanding.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole idea of these councils are really for show and for grandstanding. Just to say I'm on a council, where, no, you know, it's not as though any of these people are making policy.
Yeah, Dennis Kucinich, your thoughts?
Well, let's not look past the bigger issue here. America must address the issues of violence in our society. We have to be focusing on healing our nation, find a path to uniting our nation. The only way we do that is to have everyone involved, the captains of industry, people in communities, everyone involved in a new discussion about a path to address the issues of racial violence, domestic violence, spousal abuse, child abuse, violence in the school, gang violence, gun violence.
Sure.
Look, America has some problems here that need common sense, compassion, courage, and we need the CEOs to be part of that discussion, and also not just on the social side, but on the economic side as well.
So you're saying that, was it a good move that they stepped down or not?
I think it's important for them to engage the president. They are his peers.
Right.
And it's important for them to share their concerns. And if they have that kind of access, whatever the legitimacy of the council, they have access. And that access should be used to provide guidance for the president on the policies that these CEOs have articulated they care about. We have a problem with violence in our society, but the way that you deal with it is to bring it forward, look at it, and come up with new policies, social and economic policies that help heal the country.
Yeah, that's what
and we're a long way from doing that.
That's what you said earlier,
exactly.
Charlie. You basically said, look, if you have a problem with the way the president speaks in any way, tell him. That's why you're on the council.
That's why you're on the council, right? I mean, so let's get this straight. This American manufacturing guy, he's so appalled by what President Trump did, he just walks away. He doesn't want to even voice those concerns or have a venue to be able to voice, you know, those ideas to him. If you have a problem, then stand up for it. Look the president in the eye and say, I'm on your council. I represent XYZ amount of steel manufacturers and, steel workers. This needs to be addressed. Don't just walk away. It doesn't make any sense.
I hate to be a wet blanket, but the way to reach the president is probably not through his manufacturing council. In fact, I would hazard to guess that Dennis Kucinich just had a more direct voice to the president, perhaps, than anyone on the manufacturing council.
Well, I hope
because
so.
he's on TV making a point. So again, I don't think a manufacturing council is a big deal.
You just
one way or
don't
the
care
other.
about these councils. It's a lot of
sorry.
BS, you think?
No, there's
Well, I don't want to dismiss.
Yeah,
I don't want to dismiss the power of CEOs to be able to have their companies be agents for the benefit of the country and the benefit of the world on social as well as economic matters. So I'd like to see a broader involvement of American industry on these issues.
If there are enough empty chairs, maybe we can get you on the manufacturing council.
In terms of manufacturing in general, what are the most important things the president should be thinking about right now? Let's put the Charlottesville comments aside and talk about manufacturing. This is the council that they're stepping down from. What do you want to see in terms of manufacturing policy?
The biggest thing is a society that actually embraces people that don't go to four-year colleges and technical schools, and I think the president's actually taken a courageous step towards that. His visit to Wisconsin recently was quite admirable with the governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, who's done a great job of training 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to get into these more higher skilled positions. So I think the president has taken, really unprecedented steps for manufacturing and the middle-class jobs that have gone away. Not all these jobs are going to come back, but it doesn't have to be as depleted as it has been the last 20 years. Yeah. And I think we as free market capitalists have to recognize a skilled workforce is an important component of that.
Yeah, it's a great point. Congressman, let me ask you the same question in terms of what needs to be done to move the needle on economic growth and jobs, particularly in manufacturing.
We should have long ago canceled NAFTA and renegotiated China trade. We need policies which benefit America on trade, on manufacturing, and on rebuilding our infrastructure, but preserving it in the public domain. So I think there's still a big conversation that, that is involved in this administration, and I'd like to see the CEOs become and maintain their role in being part of it.
Yeah, no commentary on any of that, Rich. I mean,
as well as labor.
This is the Manufacturing Council. No comment on what the president is doing in terms of policy.
Yeah,
from these guys
I don't think his agenda will be affected by this one way or the other. And I agree wholeheartedly with Charlie. We need to honor everyone who works in this country, whether they're sitting behind a desk or working with their hands. And we need more deregulation, corporate tax reform, and cheap energy. That helps manufacturing.
And by the
raise wages.
and move wages. Well, that's the quandary that we're in, right? The economy seems to be getting better, and yet wages still haven't moved. How do you get wages up?
And something that President Trump should advocate for is a working man's tax cut. Get rid of the FICA tax for people that earn less than $60,000 a year. Instead of actually having to mandate a higher minimum wage, just say you can keep more of the hard-earned money that you put in your pocket. It's a working man's tax cut. It's something I think that could really reinvigorate, eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, these places that are working every day and they're seeing more of their paycheck go to a government that they don't feel is representative.
Yeah, it would be a good match with corporate tax reform. Politically,
exactly, a populist offset. Exactly.
Who the heck is this guy FICA, and why is he taking all my money from
I hear that all the time. Exactly right.
Look, President Trump has shown us over and over again when he gets hit, he's going to hit back. So the president hit Merck after the CEO left the council. Here's what he tweeted after Ken Frazier announced that he was stepping down. Now that Ken Frazier of Merck Pharma has to resign from President's Manufacturing Council, he will have more time to lower rip-off drug prices. He goes on to say Merck is a leader in higher and higher drug prices, while at the same time taking jobs out of the U.S., bring jobs back, and lower prices. Was this a message to Ken? Maybe this was a sticking point, something that the two had discussed in the past? What do you think, Congressman?
Well, Mr. Frazier is in a unique position as one of the top African Americans in industry in the country. I think that is a position that ought to be respected and honored. At the same time, he's needed inside the discussion. And certainly drug prices are too high, no question about that. Certainly we need a new health care program, in my opinion, that would eliminate these problems of people having to split their pennies in order to pay for their prescription drugs. However, we've got to recognize the economic drivers there are in violence in our society. We need CEOs to be part of that discussion. And if I could give the president any advice, it would be this: don't take everything personally.
Yeah. It's a fair point. He does. He gets criticized and he hits back. Real quick before you guys go, because I know you've been looking at these issues a lot. Do you think they're going to get tax reform done, and do you think they will have another shot at health care before year end?
I don't think health care is totally dead. They're still talking about it, and there's
Right.
a chance they can get to 50 and something in the Senate. I don't think there'll be a big bang tax reform of the entire code, but I think there will be a substantial tax cut.
Charlie.
I agree with that. I think politically they have to get health care done. I don't see a way that any of them keep their positions or any sort of legitimacy if they don't get something done.
So we're still in the game with legislative.
It have to be. I wish they would work. I don't know what they're doing this month, but yeah.
In terms of legislative victories, we'll see about that. General, thank you
Thanks
very
so much.
much. Rich, Charlie, Congressman, good to see you all.